Welcome back to EO Network Podcast, everybody. Here, I'm Adrian Matt. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to actually be interviewing a lot of our great guests who are going to be joining us here, and this is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to actually delve into their lives, per se, and kind of seeing what the, interesting topics and hobbies they actually get the chance to do on a weekly basis. With that being said, however, we're actually going to be joined by our first guest who has some interesting hobbies. In fact, he actually is into cycle karting, and it's actually very interesting in my opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the man who goes by none other than Humbler97. Welcome, Humbler.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Well, it's going well. I'm glad that you're here because this is something that I've been kind of keeping an eye on over the past couple of weeks. In fact, you got the chance to share some of the videos behind the scenes, and we got the chance to see some videos, and it was very interesting. We decided to see if we, wanted to interview you, in which you did accept, and we do have a couple of questions pertaining to your hobby. And like I said, I've seen your videos, but we're going to get to all that in a minute. However, before all that, what really got you into cycle karting?
It was more of my dad. I think I know what his story was in joining it, but it was just something I grew up with as just, the garage project that we had, and I just got it from him. But the way he got it was he was into cars in the first place, and he saw like the original version of the car we built, because most cycle carts are replicas. He saw the original car in a magazine, and then around the same time, he, on Facebook, I think, came across another one of the drivers/creators who saw their car, and he put those two things together, and he's like, yeah, that could work. So he started building it, and we're here today with a fully completed car.
So it all started with his vision, per se.
Yeah.
And then it turned into something that you guys really got into.
Mhm.
And speaking about your father, I got the chance to also see his YouTube channel. His YouTube channel is absolutely incredible. I've seen a lot of the videos that he got the chance to post. And looks like he's built himself a legacy.
Wow.
Is that something, is that something that you yourself are looking to carry on as well?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like what the whole community is about. The whole community is about sort of helping each other to make these nice cars, and I feel like it's a great thing to be a part of.
Now, you talked about, at least in the past, you talked about how you were involved in many of the events and so forth that does happen up there in Canada. And we understand that it's a very interesting hobby, as we stated before, but it could also be very serious at times, including for these events. Describe to me the events, what they're all about, and what the whole purpose is, and also tell me what goes through your mind when you're involved in these.
Well, I'll give you sort of like the calendar of events that happens during a weekend that we have. So most of them have a time trial early in the morning, which is your fastest lap. And then you have a couple of heat races, normally one in one direction, one in the other around the track. And then the third race is is a longer race that everyone votes on which direction to go, like which direction to drive in.
Obviously, got the chance to compete in many of these. And has there ever been a time that you got seriously injured?
No, personally, I have not gotten seriously injured, but I've seen people who have. There's a guy who flipped his car and he wasn't wearing a helmet, so now he has a massive gash on his head. And as far as I know, that's the most serious injury that's happened in the sport.
It actually sounds quite serious for sure. But you also mentioned communities and so forth. I mean, talk about exactly the type of people that you get the chance to meet. I mean, I heard that there are a lot of amazing people who are very much knowledgeable and they're very caring, and they actually get the chance to really, take everybody with open arms for anybody that's willing to learn. I'm assuming that you got the chance to actually be really involved in all this. And how are the people within the community? I mean, how caring can they be?
Well, most of the time, like for an example, during races, in one of the big heats, let's say, if one car breaks down, all the other guys who are not driving are going to converge on it and try and get it fixed to get it back into the race again. And we're all just sort of rooting for each other to get back into it. That's what the community's like.
Absolutely incredible. Um, inspiration is a huge factor when it comes to all this. And, obviously you aim to have great performance. You have aesthetics as well. Which one is more important for you, though? Would you claim that performing well is more important than really having an aesthetically pleasing looking car, or do you think it's vice versa? Do you think it's actually much more important to build a great looking cart and not, have the the best performance?
Well, it's sort of a mix of the two. You want to have a really nice looking car because the series is not really about, you know, the racing and the winning and everything. It's supposed to be the retired man sport, like just casual racing.
Right.
But you also want to not be going at walking pace down the track with a car that looks like a supermodel.
Good point. That's a very good point. Now, when it comes to the technical qualities of these things, I mean, first off, I mean, how fast do these things actually go?
Well, ours has a top speed of 92 kilometers an hour, which for our American people is almost 60 miles an hour. And the top speed of the fastest one, I think, was 120 kilometers an hour, which is about
Wow.
75 miles an
Yep.
hour. And that event is sort of like that's more of the money pay, get better car type of event,
Hmm.
where you spend like tens of thousands of dollars on your car so you can go fast. And our events are more like you have a max of $2,200 and you can't go over that or you can't race.
Oh, so there's a little bit of a rule there per se.
Yeah.
I see. Now, speaking about money, because I'm glad that you mentioned that. If money, let's say if money wasn't necessarily a factor when it came to these things, exactly what dream cart would you build if you had the chance? If you had all the money in the entire world, if you had the
Wow.
entire yeah, if you had the entire tool set right in front of you, exactly what would your dream cart be if it was right in front of you right now?
Um, there's one specific part that you need to have that doesn't give you that even if you like put a massive freaking V8 in there, doesn't give you any additional anything. And it's called a torque converter, and it's like a snowmobile clutch, and it sort of limits the engine power produced and like changes gear ratio to make your car more equal with everyone else. So even if you spent those tens of thousands of dollars on your cart, you're definitely not guaranteed to win every race.
So even so it does have some setbacks at times too. It doesn't really matter how much money you put in. There could be
Yeah.
setbacks. Um, any advice for someone wanting to get into the industry? I mean, I see a lot of people out there who have been pouring out support and so forth, and sometimes within these support comments, they actually state that this is something that I would like to do within a couple of years. This is something that I would like to do growing up, or people stating that within a couple of years that they're going to get into it. I mean, what advice would you give to these young and up and coming community members per se, cyclers per se, that actually want to get involved in this?
Well, what you do is find the car you want and you take the size of the wheels, scale it down to I think it's 20 inches, and model your car from that. Find old parts to save money that you can just drill together with some screws and fit some wood or metal or fiberglass around it, make it a cheap
Hmm.
car, and you'll still be the same performance as everyone. And another extremely important thing, our car has never flipped over because the bottom of the engine is lower than the rear axle. So you have to make sure that your engine isn't above the rear axle, meaning that it's less likely to flip over.
That's quite interesting. I didn't know much about that. You did mention wheels. I mean, how often have you experimented with different wheel sizes or tire types, and how did that affect handling when you were driving?
Well, personally, we have not really experimented with new wheels. We have had one set of tires for the entire time we've raced the car, which I think is about 5 years now. And unfortunately, now we're gonna have to get new ones because our wheel broke. I think I sent you pictures of that.
Yes.
And yeah, most drivers have tires that are very knobbly, but we have closer to like regular, racing tires that are sort of flat with small grooves to get water and dust out of the flat bits to make it go faster.
I
And
see.
we don't experiment with different rims, but lots of the other drivers have thicker rims and thicker spokes that are built for like motorcycles rather than cycle carts. And that generally makes them more sturdy, but it's a little more expensive. So we haven't done that yet, but we're probably going to do it soon.
Well, that's going to be interesting to see exactly what the result is going to end up looking. Um, have you ever helped anyone else build their first cart?
I have not personally. There aren't very many builders around where I live. There's like two maybe. And it's not like you actually go to their house and build it with them. It's more of like a call thing, and it's usually my dad doing it, not me, because he's the one who sort of started it. He knows more about it than me.
Right. But do you actually, whenever he gets the chance to do that, are you there with him? Are you taking the notes? Are you looking at every single nook and cranny and kind of being able to digest everything for you to learn a lot more? Is that something that you do?
Well, it's a little complicated because there's not actually that many new creators in where I live now, but there used to be like a few years ago, but at that point I was really too young to try and hold that information in to try and be able
Yep.
to help build or maintain our current car. But yeah, right now there's not much note taking to do per se.
And at this time, um, what really are your plans down the road? I mean, obviously you're still young and learning.
Oh yeah.
Like you said, you have your dad next to you. Your dad is there with you, of course, being able to give you the advice and all that. But you obviously are also a part of the community, as you already mentioned, and this is something that you're going to be doing in the long haul. So, I mean, what is your plan at this point in time? We know that you're going to continue to do it, but what would you say that you're going to? What would you say within 10 years? What does it look like to you?
Well, I don't know if this is released information yet, but it looks like we are going to build a second car within the near future. And it's supposed to be that I am going to get the car we have now, and my dad is going to get the car we're building, and that'll be how it is until we decide to stop doing it.
That's going to be awesome. Let's talk about race day. So, you know, first and foremost, this is going to be a completely, well, off topic question, but nonetheless, a topic that I would like to kind of get into. On race day, I mean, do you have a favorite go to snack?
Oh, I don't know if you guys have these down in the US, but in these used to be very popular in Canada. We have these cookies that have like the Oreo cream in the middle and a vanilla cookie, like a I don't know how to explain it. Like a tea biscuit, but flavored and circular. And then a chocolate one of the same thing on the bottom. Delicious. Love it.
It actually sounds pretty good, and you did mention Canada. I understand that Canada does have a lot of very interesting food choices up there,
Yeah.
and something that I wish would be here in the United States, but that's a different story. Nonetheless, though, going back to the official topic at hand, um, do you think cycle karting could evolve into something more competitive down the road? I mean, we talked about the culture right now and how it's always important for you to build carts that really look aesthetically pleasing and so forth, and that it follows guidelines and rules, and it's just for everybody to have fun and so forth. But I mean, do you ever see it down the road really becoming very, very competitive, much more than it is today?
Well, I do see that happening, but I also see that our side of things, the budgeted, the torque converter, the small engine, that stays as well. So it sort of becomes two different championships, for lack of a better word. And I think it just stays like that until the sport dissolves.
Do you ever see the sport dissolving?
No, I think it's just kept on growing since it started.
What's more fun to you, would you say? Would you say that it's more fun to build, or would it be a lot more fun to be racing? Because it's split in a way. There's a whole lot of people out there who really like the building aspect of it, and then there's a whole lot of people out there who actually do like the racing aspect. Yeah, there's a whole lot of people who do like both, and I'm sure you probably enjoy both, but which is more pleasing to you?
Personally, I haven't really experienced the building side of things because by the time I was old enough and tall enough to be able to drive the car, it was already completely done. So I didn't really get the experience of taking it from the ground up. So I don't really have a good opinion on that. So I'm automatically going to say driving is so much better.
I see. But as we talked about beforehand, as you are growing older, it looks like this is something that you probably are going to look more into down the road for sure when it comes to the
Yeah.
building aspect of it. So it's going to be interesting to see you open up a new, door of all these different qualities that you can definitely gain. And let's talk about the culture, though. You know, you said that it's a very welcoming, heartwarming community, of course. We talked about the people who are involved in it. Um, are there any, unwritten rules or traditions in the cycle cart scene, would you say? I mean, I know you talked about the budget rule, for instance. What kind of rules would you say are not necessarily the most traditional, or, like I said, the unwritten rule?
Well, one of the unwritten rules we have in our event is when there's a plane landing, you got to stop. Because our previous event was on an airfield, but we've moved on from that now. So that that was sort of like a thing, just everybody knows to do it. But in speaking of like every event ever, don't hit other people. Just no contact.
Right.
Contact, you're gone for the weekend.
Well,
That's
that's actually interesting. So have you ever seen that happen? Has that ever happened to? I mean, have you ever seen that happen to you at all? Has there ever been a contact and that certain person had to leave at that point?
I've heard of people who have had it happen. The largest event in the world is in Utah, and there are a few people there who get kicked out every year because they're too aggressive or they make contact with other drivers.
Oh goodness, can you imagine aggressive players, aggressive drivers?
Yeah.
I mean, that would make things a lot more interesting for sure if you think about it. Not interesting in the sense that it would be pleasing to see, but interesting in terms of experience and being able to kind of see how things would unfold at that point in time after seeing the aggressiveness there. But like I said, I mean, I really do like how the cycling, the cycle karting's more so all about more so in the entertainment, having fun and all that, and not aggressive in that sense. Um, have you ever wondered what it would be like one day to become a champion, to actually win a race and actually win a championship title?
Well, there is a Cycle Kart World Championship, but in that that Cycle Kart World Championship is the one where there's no budget. There's like contact is allowed, aggressiveness is allowed. We're not really a part of that. I have won a race, just as in the leisurely ones, but there's not really a championship for the budgeted people.
I see. My last question to you, and it's been very interesting, kind of being able to ask these questions and kind of learn more about this, and just being able to kind of listen to the stories and listen to your answers and responses. But my final question is this. Um, we talked about how the future is going to look like. You talked about how competitiveness definitely is going to continue on, seeing that it's already competitive enough here today. And we talked about how you and your father definitely are going to continue on the legacy and all that. If you ever do become a father, is that something that you would want to actually teach your kids about? Is this something that you would want to carry on to the next generation?
Yes, definitely. I would definitely do that.
And what would you tell your kids?
I would basically do the exact same thing my dad did. I would build a car and I would introduce it to them when they're older, and I would get them to help me work on it, drive it, all that good stuff. And then eventually they'll pass it on further and further down.
So, like I said, legacy, being able to continue on and being able to see exactly what is gonna, well, what's gonna happen in the next generation, after the next generation, and after the next generation. With that being said, listen, Humbler97, thank you so much for actually joining us here today. It has been a pleasure. As I stated before, great answers. And I got to say, like I said, I've been looking into it over the past couple of weeks. It is absolutely incredible, the things that you do. And I got the chance to look at your channel and your father's channel. And again, I think your father is absolutely incredible, along with you as well. So I do want to, of course, pass on my respect to you and your father, and also, of course, wish you guys good luck for anything that's going to be coming down in the future. And with that said, I do want to thank you again for joining us here today. And again, thanks for everything.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a great time.
Absolutely. And for everybody else watching live on YouTube, thanks for joining us here today, everybody. If you do have comments and questions for our great guest, Humbler97, you can actually leave it down below in the comments section if you have any questions. And if you have any experiences when it comes to cycle karting, then you can also let us know down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you next time in the EN Network podcast. Plenty more guests down the road. We cannot wait. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you in the next podcast episode.
Bye, everyone.